So, tears in his eyes. That is Major Glover Johns. That is the Clay Pigeons. That is the 1st Battalion, 115th Infantry, 29th Division. And obviously, he is an example of leadership. And the men of his battalion, the Clay Pigeons, they are yet another example of the indomitable warrior spirit and culture that is the very core of this nation. Don't forget that. Don't forget that culture. Don't ever forget it. And for those of you out there right now defending our nation, that spirit and that culture, it can work to hold you up. And having it in your brain can keep you strong in trying times. But there's also a dichotomy there, because not only does that warrior spirit and warrior culture hold you up, you also have to hold it up. You have to maintain that warrior culture in the way you think and in the way you act. And if you ever start to forget how you're supposed to think and how you're supposed to act, then remember Colonel Glover Johns and the Clay Pigeons of St. Lo. And I think that's all I've got for tonight, Echo Charles.
Yes, sir.
So, I guess speaking of maintaining,
yes,
maybe you could tell us how we could maintain support of this podcast if you want.
If they want. And for ourselves. Hey, what does fire for effect mean?
Fire
actually?
Effect. This is awesome. So you're on a radio.
Yeah.
And you're calling artillery, or you're calling naval gunfire, or you're calling air support, and you're trying to get them to hit this target, whatever that target might be. Let's say you're trying to get them to hit a building where there's mooge.
Sure.
And they get a direct hit.
Mm-hmm.
And now you say fire for effect.
Yeah.
That means you don't need to make any more adjustments. You can just start hammering that thing. Boom, 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 boom.
Oh, okay.
Fire for effect.
Gotcha.
So when somebody does something and it's on target, you're like, yeah, fire for effect.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Oh, dang. Okay.
That's what it is.
That's one of those ones that, I'd hear all you and Leif always say it, and certain
Do we
terms,
say it that much?
Not that much,
Oh, okay.
but that's
You've
where I
heard
would
it.
hear
You've
it,
heard it,
hear it kind of come out. And you know how certain terms, if you're not familiar with them, you can kind of gather what it means.
Yeah, you kinda-
in the context,
right.
and the words and stuff like that. But that one, I never could really figure out exactly what that means, as opposed to I don't know, fire at will, or all these other things that you hear.
Yeah.
Fire for effect.
Fire for effect.
Because it kind of sounds like it could mean like to distract them or something, to have some effect other than hitting the target or something
that.
like that. Yeah, apparently not.
Get after it.
Yeah, apparently it's the opposite, and it's all good.
Yeah.
Right on. Thanks
It's just
for
amazing to
clarification.
come up with these guys, man.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, and I've said this before, that thread of, and I actually don't like using the word warrior culture.
Yeah.
Because it's so overused.
Yeah, man.
It's so overused, and it's been so degraded
Yes.
by this horrible, meaningless things. That guy's a warrior. You know what I mean? Because he,
Yeah.
did whatever.
Committed a crime and actually survived his prison term.
Yeah, well, that
You know,
guy's a real
war-
warrior.
warrior.
No, actually,
No.
you're not.
Yeah,
You know,
it's different.
But there's no other word that I can put on it, at least that I could think of right now. When you talk about the American culture, and it's so easy because America's a big place, and America's got a lot of good things going for it,
Yes.
and a lot the culture of art in America's massive.
Yeah.
The culture of music is unbelievably powerful here. The culture of education and academia, all these things are massive in America, right? And it's really easy to forget the culture, in my mind, the most powerful culture that we have. Now, I could be wrong. Oh, I mean, what about our entrepreneurial spirit and culture, right? That's huge here.
Very strong. Yes.
Our capitalist culture. We want to make money. We want to grow. We want to do things, right? Those are all really, really powerful. And I think we tend to forget. We want to say that, the Japanese Bushido culture is this thing we should look up to. Guess what? Guess what? That Bushido culture versus the U.S. Marines, storming beaches in heavily defended beaches. And guess what?
Yeah.
The American warrior culture, that's the real deal.
Yeah.
That's the real deal. The Nazis, the stormtroopers, yeah, those were such a warrior culture. Guess what? Compare them to these guys.
Yeah.
No, not happening. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, and you hear this a lot, like that. There was a little part in the book where the guy got his legs blown off or something like that, and he was like, "I'll be back."
Yep, I'll be back.
He's like, and it really seemed like he wasn't pissed about his legs. He was pissed that he's out of the game, and he's like, "I'm letting guys down. I'm going," Yeah, I think a lot of times, and America is kind of an example where, when all things are going real good, it's easy to point out the things that are not going good. Like I don't know, whatever the case may be. Like if everything's perfect, the little imperfections show themselves more. How like if your life is like everything's together, where your job is good and your family's good or whatever, but meanwhile like your front lawn is going brown. You're like, my front lawn's going brown. It's like that kind of thing. I think that's what we have in the U.S. It's kind of like things are really good.
I think it's more just a matter of percentage. I mean, I think in America right now it's like 1% of the population is actually in the military. I mean, all these World War II veterans, there's not many of them left. The Vietnam veterans are getting older. Korean veterans are very, very rare at this point. So, and what are our movies about? Instead of making movies about St. Lo, they make movies about the aliens attacking or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy to forget that the reason we're here and the reason we're not speaking German or the reason we're not speaking Japanese is because of this warrior culture here, which kind of, it's right up there.
Yeah.
It's right up. You show me any warrior culture that has the same, that, I know there's equivalents. I know that there's other military units in the world and other countries that have a proud military tradition as well. But, obviously I'm biased towards mine.
Yeah.
But you tell me any historical unit that you say, these guys were the Spartans and they were the real warriors.
Right.
You haven't really spent much time with a 19-year-old Marine.
Yeah.
You haven't spent much time with a soldier from an airborne division. You got to meet those guys.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, they're the real deal.
Yeah.
And no matter what kind of historical warrior you want to throw out there, I'll put my Americans against head to head, just in terms of just straight up warrior culture and spirit.
Yeah.
I'll go toe to toe. I'll go toe to toe for sure. I'm not trying to say we're better.
Yeah.
But I'll go toe to toe with the Spartans.
Yeah.
I'll go toe to toe with them. And I'm just talking, my warrior culture against your warrior culture and the way you lived your life. You go meet some of these young soldiers and Marines out there.
Yeah.
You can come and talk to me, and special operations guys. You know what I mean? Obviously.
Yeah.
Come and get some.
Yeah, man. I dig it. Come and fire for effect. Sorry, bro.
Do it.
I just learned the word. I'm trying to fit it in.
Warrior culture doesn't get through all of America.
Man, you know. Nonetheless, we are down to support ourselves.
I was going to make a wisecrack about Hawaii, but you know.
Yeah, you might get dealt with.
No, not going to do that because because massive. There's a great book that somebody sent me, and it's about Japanese Americans that formed up. You know, Americans sent many Japanese to internment camps in America in World War II. They also took a bunch of them and turned them into a fighting unit.
Is that the 442nd?
Yes, and they might be the most highly decorated unit of that size.
Yeah.
Because but a lot of them came from Hawaii.
Yeah, so, huge Japanese community in Hawaii.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
And speaking of Hawaiian, like, hey, you know how like the old
and warrior culture, Hawaii, for sure.
Yeah. So
am I allowed to just straight up say BJ Penn right now?
Yeah.
And my boy Max Holloway, by the way.
Current champ.
Yeah. I remember when Max came and trained with us.
Yeah,
I've told this story before, but man, what a beast.
Yeah.
You know what? He was training hard.
Yeah.
He was training hard. He wasn't even close to the UFC yet. This was years ago. Yeah. He wasn't close to the UFC yet. He had some warrior culture in him.
Yeah.
Get some.
Super nice guy too. When you consider, like, even let's say the Spartans, and you consider all their battles and stuff, this is like hand to hand, sword to neck battles. It's like, dang, that's savage. But back in those days, look at all kinds of cultures. So consider Hawaiian culture. If you look at the weapons, like, you can look like in a museum, just go online, whatever. Look at the weapons that they used in battle, and then consider like that's what you got to use. It's like savage, man. It's like, so yeah, there are a lot of legitimate warrior cultures. They're just different.
There's no doubt. And what I'm saying, to encapsulate what I'm saying, is America has one, and it's go toe to toe with any.
Yeah, don't sleep on that.